the glen one Easter morn to city fair time. There are lines of marching men in squadrons pass me by. No pipe did hum, no battle drum did sound its loud ta-ta, but the Angelus bells or the levee swells rang out in the foggy June. The bravest fell on the requiem bell, rang mournfully and clear. For those who died that Easter tide in the springing of the year, while the world did gaze with deep amaze at those fearless men, but few who bore the fight that freedom's light might shine through the foggy dew.
The fighting face of a nation.
I'm back through the glen, I rode again, and my heart with grief was sore. For I parted then with valiant men, whom I never shall see more. But to and fro in my dreams I go, and I kneel and pray for you.
The story of this
for
fight.
our slavery fled, oh glorious dead, when you fell in the foggy June.
The story of this fight is not just Conor McGregor, it's Ireland. This is a fight about how much pride these people have. We've had a lot of Brazilians come to see Brazilian champions fight and compete, but there's never been anything like this. The Irish people have come out tonight in a way that just defines them as a nation. And this man has incredible weight on his shoulders right now. The pressure that he's experiencing right now, the hype behind all of this, very few human beings in this world will ever experience anything remotely similar to what's going on inside the mind and the body of Conor McGregor as he steps into this octagon right now.
Joe, it's like a rock concert in here. 107 decibels. Sinead O'Connor, Conor McGregor, the Fighting Irish, looking to leave with the belt. He sold out the O2 Dublin in record time, and he was a big part of tonight's sellout as well.
Wake up to reality. As always, there is the concept of victims, but that which will also exist. The selfish intent of wanting to preserve peace initiates wars.
Look at this guy, the Undertaker. Oh my God, the dead man has arrived.
Just 4 years into his UFC career, Israel Adesanya on his way potentially to becoming the greatest middleweight champion of all time. He is 22-1, has never lost in this division. Many suggest he's the greatest striker they have ever seen. And I know our guy DC Joe is really enjoying this walkout, but I will start with you, Joe.
What are you talking about?
Has upped the ante this week. He has called for a finish. He is walking out with Jared Cannonier's ashes, or so it appears. Your thoughts on Adesanya in this matchup here tonight?
Well, I just love what he's doing. I love that he's putting on a show. And I love what he does inside the Octagon. He's a truly unique talent.
I'm coming home.
Octagon, returning for the first time in 476 days. DC, it's not what happens to the man, it's what the man does when it happens to him.
That's the truth. What's Jon gonna be now? You look at his face right now, and you see him taking it in. It almost seems as though his eyes are misty, because this is where the guy belongs. He belongs entertaining, he belongs fighting, and nothing he's ever done inside of this Octagon says any different. It's always been outside. So this is where he belongs. It's good to see him doing what he was put on this planet to do, and that's fight.
When you see a guy with so much talent, so much potential get involved in so many altercations, so many bad situations outside the Octagon, for a guy like you that's smart and plays it smart, how frustrating is it?
It's very frustrating, because it seems as though the whole world is at his fingertips. But once again, as Colby said, and look at Jon going to see his family. He's got a beautiful family. I've said this from day one. He's got a great support system behind him, and you can tell how much his family loves him and supports him. But as you say, it's not what happens to the man. It's what happens and what that man becomes when he gets an opportunity to correct himself. Hopefully this last time was the last time that we'll ever hear of Jon Jones getting into trouble.
Invincibility is a great trait, especially as a fighter, as an athlete. It is also a very dangerous trait.
Very dangerous. You know, Joe and I talked about this before. Jon's ability to let go in life and in the Octagon is what makes him so special. But outside of the Octagon, you've got to curtail that. You've got to find a way to lasso it and keep it in check. Maybe he'll do that going forward.
Having been so close to having it all taken away from him, one can only hope that he learned those lessons from that.
Yeah.
Another thing to take into consideration is the massive amount of pressure that this guy's been under since he was 23 years old. Winning the title, having nothing but world title fights against the best fighters in the world for his entire UFC career, essentially. And just constantly building up this pressure, looking for an outlet, looking for an escape valve, looking for a release valve. And that could very well have played a part in a lot of this errant behavior.
You know, Joe, I've said since I became the champion, I sympathize with him more. I'm a 36-year-old man when it happens to me. He happened as a 23-year-old kid. And now I see what's available as you have the UFC championship. So, not making excuses for Jon. You have to find a way to do the right thing. But I can see it a little bit more from his view now because I've experienced it myself.
Jon Jones is back.
Intense, as special as a Conor McGregor walk and ensuing mixed martial arts fight. First simultaneous two-division UFC champion, and this is his first appearance since losing to Khabib Nurmagomedov. That was October of 2018. His fighting season begins in earnest here tonight. Conor McGregor resumes his quest here at the Matter of Moments show.
This is how charismatic and enigmatic this guy is. A guy with 0 professional boxing matches has the #2 most popular pay-per-view fight in the history of the sport against arguably the best boxer of all time and Floyd Mayweather, and a lot of people gave him a chance.
Right.
That's how nuts this is.
He convinced everybody that he was going to do it. I was one of the people, I'm like, man, I don't know, maybe.
He's that weird. He's an unusual human being. I mean, it's just his belief in himself, his charisma, and his power. It's not just his cult of personality.
Yeah.
It's what he's able to do. Knock out Jose Aldo with one punch. Put Eddie Alvarez away in a... Well, you've never seen anybody do that to Alvarez. Alvarez is a world-class, world champion fighter, and he just beat the brakes off of him. Conor McGregor, when he's on point, when he's at his best, is one of the greatest of all time. And not just his performance, but what he brings when you watch the fight. Right now, people are freaking out all over the world because this guy's fighting.
And Paul, in terms of his striking as a fellow striker in the lightweight division, the distance management, the ability to understand range, truly the stuff of lit. Yeah, man, leading up to the spot, I did a lot of research and just watching some of his older, earlier fights. And when he was coming up and hungry and really training the way that he knows he should be training,
I mean, it's second to none. It really is fantastic. His counter ability, and like you said, John, the ability to control distance and just get out of the way by just half an inch to counter and strike back.
And he has what Faraz Zahabi loves to call the touch of death.
Yes.
It really is the touch of death. He just starches people.
An unshakable self-belief, and to your point, that left hand, one of the most potent singular weapons in MMA history. And stripes of the United States of America. Here's the #2 ranked welterweight contender, Colby Covington. 9-1 in the UFC last appearance, a win over Rafael dos Anjos that resulted in an interim welterweight championship. That was back in June of 2018. There have been some circumstances, a deviated septum surgery for Colby Covington, but when this man is on with the pace, the durability, the pressure, he's as tough and out as there is in this 170
Well, you got that right, Anik. I mean, this guy, if he gets a hold of any of your limbs, if he grabs a leg, if he grabs anything, he's going to keep wrestling and wrestling. But don't forget, after he fails at a takedown, on his way up to your upper body, he also mixes in elbows and knees, and he likes to go back to the takedown, and then he'll go back to the dirty boxing. So he's not just one-dimensional. The thing that makes Colby Covington so hard to deal with is he's mixing elbows and knees into his wrestling, and then when he's on the outside, he also utilizes his boxing very well to set up his wrestling. So everything kind of blends together with him. He's not really just throwing a punch. He's always throwing a punch that looks like a shot, or shooting a double leg that looks like a punch, or trying to spin out that makes it look like an elbow. Everything is set up with him. So Colby Covington is able to do that because he's in such good shape. He's making reads the entire fight. He's not tired surviving really too often. Most of the time he's making reads because his cardio is so good. Will Robbie Lawler be able to stuff his takedowns? That's really the question. And not if he stuffs them, but can he keep Robbie Lawler down? That's what we got to see.
Covington, a former two-time NCAA All-American at Oregon State University, Pac-10 wrestling champion, and his right-hand man, Dan Lambert, the owner of American Top Team, has famously said the most difficult task in pro sports to develop an MMA fighter from the beginning into a UFC champion. Tyron Woodley, the first homegrown American Top Team champion, and Colby Covington could be this one win away from his first crack at that elusive, undisputed UFC title.